Well, welcome back to our next episode of The Awakened Stranger. And this is Cody, and today we have Elena. And Elena's, we're finishing up a second part. She's episode 8 from the beginning, so we'll link that here in the bio or on the page here as well. Elena, I'll let you take some time and kind of continue your story. And it sounds like you got a few extra things you'd like to share.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me back. I'm so glad to be here again. My name is Elena. I live in Richmond area in Richmond, Virginia. And I wanted to start by just thanking you, Cody, for what you're doing. I feel like I know you so much more than back then on my 8th episode. I didn't know who I was talking to. Here's this guy, showing his emotions, but listening to all the podcasts that you've had so far and learning more every time you have a podcast, you kind of express a little bit more of your story. So I feel like I know you a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And you're just such an amazing person. And thank you for being so genuine. And thank you for connecting us through the technology, through the social media. I've met many great people through the episodes, and I like to, if I feel someone resonating or someone's story resonating with me, I would love to talk to them personally and reach out to them. And you were really amazing by connecting one-on-one people. So I've met someone who actually lives in my town, which was an amazing thing. And I've connected to people in different states, and just it's such a great way to know that you are not alone and you're not crazy and you get to support people. So yes, thank you so much.
No, absolutely. And I kind of wanted to say too, like, you've been one of the only people that has reached out to me to connect with other callers. And I wanted to say that's pretty amazing. Like, you've definitely done a lot to reach out and be supportive of other people. And once you're hearing their stories and just connecting with them, so you're an amazing person as well. So it's a pleasure to know you.
Well, I hope others will follow my example because, if you just listen to someone's story without reaching out to a person, it's kind of like one of those things, like, you live it, at the very beginning, but when you start connecting with someone, then you get to, connect on much deeper level with another human being. So
yeah, exactly.
Who's sharing the same experience.
Mm-hmm.
So last time when I was talking to you, I kind of briefly scanned through my whole experience, and to say it again, I've been in this experience for somewhere between 15 to 20 years. I don't remember a specific date. I think it's sometime 2011 when it's all started. But I would like to dive a little bit more this time and talk about how it all started, because there was something that I've never experienced before, and that new thing opened completely different perception in me, and so I wanted to focus on that this time.
Yeah.
I was born in Russia, so you can tell I have an accent. At that time it was called Soviet Union, so we had a communism as our governing body and a governing culture. Religion was looked down upon, so there was no opportunity to explore spirituality or anything like this. It was just basically, looked at like it's just a nonsense, a whole bunch of nonsense. Yeah. Yet the culture itself somewhat had a very ethical and moral values, so that was good. I do remember the one time. Well, I remember it one time, probably happened more than one time, but I remember my mom asked my neighbor to watch me a few times when I was a child, and that neighbor was an elderly lady, and she was very kind of Christian, I would say, very religious. Russian Orthodox religion is very kind of strict, and I remember she would pull out a Bible and start reading me some stories from the Bible. And I just was so curious, like, oh my gosh, who are these people with wings, in the pictures and stuff like that. And I just remember she would always tell me, please don't tell your mom and dad that I'm showing you this book, because they won't let you come and visit me anymore. So I had this idea that there's some kind of secrecy about this thing, some kind of mysticism, something that, as a child, when something's not allowed, you're actually kind of drawn to it. But I didn't do anything about it. Eventually I grew up, and, when you become a teenager, you have a quite different interests in life. Yeah. And so I was not interested in any of that. What I was interested in, dating boys, and, hopefully find me some a good match to marry. And again, those back in the 70s, 80s, the values were still pretty much, if you're a woman, you should marry, you should have family. It's all across the world. It's not just in one country or another. Yeah. So I was raised in the same way. You need to marry well. And marry well meaning someone who can support you. So I was kind of on that path of finding someone like that. And for a very long time, I didn't have any luck. In fact, I actually was disappointed because every relationship I would step in, it would be somewhat of a betrayal of some sort, and I would just be broken over and over and over again. However, there was something that happened in my childhood. I think I was maybe about 10 years old. And at that time, Russia started to just open it up a little bit to the Western world, not much yet. The Iron Curtain was still very dominant. But I remember a friend of my mom brought catalogs. They were printed catalogs, like one of those, in the 90s, you would order from Sears catalog. And it had everything. And I've never seen such abundance of product in my life. I've never even could imagine such abundance exist in Russia during the Soviet time. We had very basic food. We were not starving, but we didn't have 100 boxes of cereal. Yeah. We had one, and it was sold in bulk. So there was no marketing needed to market anything, because there was no commercialism. Everything was owned by government. So when I saw this catalog, I was mesmerized. I was just mesmerized, and I was just flipping through pages day after day. I think maybe we were allowed to have that catalog for like a week or something. And I was just absorbing all this beautiful outfits, toys, candy, whatever was there. And I think something imprinted into my subconscious at that time, which I didn't realize until much later. So here I am, fast forward, I'm in my early 20s, and I was working I was doing a career in fashion industry. I was working at a sewing factory. Now, at that time, Russia was welcoming Western businesses to come and do business. And so one day, a gentleman from Denver, Colorado, in February, walks into the sewing factory where I worked. And I remember he had cowboy boots. He just looked so odd and like from another planet. And I think I just stared at him. Like, it was just curiosity. I couldn't help myself. And I think he interpreted it in a way that maybe I was interested in him. And because it was his job to come to the sewing factory where I worked and investigate and see if his company could employ Russian labor, which was very cheap at that time, to create or to sew specific garments. I think he was working for a company that did like London Fog, all this kind of old labels.
Oh, okay.
And so every time he would come in, he tried to somehow communicate with me, but I didn't speak any English. He didn't speak any Russian. So communication was very, very basic. But at some point, he moved a little bit forward, and he gave me a note written in Russian. He used dictionary to write it. And it was basically saying, would you go out with me? And then he put yes and no, and asked me to circle one, which the answer. And so I think my basic English did allow me to understand that one is no and one is yes.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, well, let's see what I'm going to learn from this meeting. I thought maybe there was something business related. Maybe he wants to hire me to kind of be an overseer. Who knows? But it was a lot more of a personal intention. And a few months later, he proposed again on a piece of paper. Wow. Because I still didn't speak any English. And he wrote, marry me, and gave me a dictionary this time so I can translate what he wrote. And took me a while because, I didn't know what it means. I thought maybe he's trying to tell me something that he's married. Oh, I don't know. Maybe he's asking if I was married. But I think he was so nervous that gave me a cue that he's probably proposing. And so I had to make a decision. And that was a very, very hard decision because I never dreamt of going anywhere outside of my hometown. I was very connected to my family. Mm-hmm. I was pretty much a mama's girl. My mom was just my best friend. And I had a pretty big family, grandparents, siblings. I never felt comfortable, going, just even have an idea, going and living somewhere else, in a different town. And here, lo and behold, another country I don't know anything about. But I do remember I had this idea. An idea was telling me, or some inner voice, that I have two choices. I can either decline the offer and regret for the rest of my life, thinking what would happen if I would accept it, or I can accept it and then regret that I did and then do something else. Yeah. It was very much like this. So it was not like love at first sight, at least on my part, because I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about the person. I didn't know anything about the world he's offering. And but I had intuition says this is what I'm supposed to do. So the first time he brought me to America, we were still just doing vacationing because he still lived in Russia. He had to live in Russia because of his job. So after we got married, a few months later, after he's proposed, we had an apartment in St. Petersburg in Russia, which is not my hometown, but not too far. And then so he brought me to America for the first time. It was a vacation at Christmas. We flew to San Diego. He had some friends there, so we stayed with his friends. So that was my first impression of America, Southern California. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I loved everything about it. Smells, food, people. And I think when at some point he took me to Walmart, he said, let's go shopping. So I don't know why he chose Walmart. And when I walked into that store, which I've never seen in my life, anything like that before, that's when the catalog pages came to life. I was in that place that I imagined as a child, that had the abundance of products. Mm-hmm. And I remember I had this silly desire that he would just drop me here and pick me up 2 weeks later on the way to the airport. I just wanted to look at everything they had. It was just a childlike curiosity and nothing else. I just wanted to see what it is all that is in those pretty packages, you know. Push now, I dread to go to Walmart, even when I need to. But it's a little later, our daughter was born. She was born in St. Petersburg. Another few months later, he was transferred to Armenia because for his just job, they said there's also some good companies there that have good equipment. We want you to investigate. So we lived in Armenia for a year. And then he decided okay, that's enough traveling. Our daughter started to, becoming more a toddler. And he's like, I want to move back to the States and raise our daughter in the States. So we did. And we settled around Richmond area. So the reason why I'm saying that, because that was a path where I started to feel my dreams are coming true. And I had this list that my culture impregnated into my subconscious. This is what you need to be happy. You need wealth of some sort, maybe possessions or property or something like this. You need a man who can take care of you. You need family. You need children you can raise. You need a career. I was born with an idea that women work. And so I had a career in interior design. I went back to school and I, found something close to what I knew in the past. So interior design close to fashion design. I graduated, started a job, loved it, and still do love it. And the marriage, unfortunately, didn't work. There was just, some abuse going on. I'm not gonna talk negatively about my ex-husband, but there was a purpose in all this. He did a lot for me. He helped me to establish myself. He was the first one who asked me a question, what are you going to do with your life? I never had this question. No one ever asked me that. So I had to think about that a little bit. And, but, he had some behavioral problems that just were not healed, and that affected how he treated me. And I just at some point couldn't go on. Then, again, my focus was all in the checkpoints. So now here I am. My check for the marriage needs to be fulfilled. So my box is empty. So I had to go and find another man, and that took another 5 years. Finally remarried, and thought, okay, this is good. And then again, 5 years later, I'm at this same place of some kind of emptiness. So that feeling of emptiness is very peculiar. It's feels like there's something else besides what this is. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't know what it was. I did not know what is it that I need. But I did know, thinking that I'm going to live for the rest of my life doing what I'm doing, same thing, job, family, traveling. I just couldn't see myself doing this for the rest of my life. And I was still just in my 30s. And it was just unbearable. It was unbearable, that feeling of emptiness. It was unbearable. And then I had a dream, and that's changed everything. So in a dream, I was on an elevator. Elevator was kind of like in a mine shaft where you go down. It's like a wired walls, and you can see the earth layers as you pass it down. Yeah. So that's what that elevator was. And we were, apologize, I'm walking, there's other people. I was going down in that elevator, down into the earth. I was descending. And there was no fear. It was just, kind of, it is what it is. I remember looking inside the cabin of that elevator. There were other people with me, and they were all different caliber, so just some of them were older, some of them were younger, some of them were children, some of them were female, male, just different kind of people. And then I heard the voice, and that voice I knew I'm the one who's hearing the voice, nobody else, because they were all just still staring at, like into nothing. And I hearing that voice, and it was a male voice. And the voice was telling me, you have a purpose, just like everybody else. You come into this life with a purpose. And you have to find the purpose. You have to connect to that purpose. If you don't connect to the purpose, you're never going to feel fulfilled. So you're going to continue having that feeling of emptiness. And I was told that everyone will find that purpose at some point or another. Maybe some will find it earlier, some later in life. Maybe someone never going to find it in this particular lifetime. But everybody eventually will connect to it. And after that, the elevator started going back up. Mm-hmm. And I woke up. And when I woke up, the dream was so surreal, so vivid. And I knew somehow that was God's voice, or some divine voice that I didn't have any other terms to call but God. And it was very confusing, puzzling, because I didn't believe God even existed. And here I am God talking to me in a dream. And so I wanted to see if anybody can give me some answers. Luckily, I had some Christian people at work that I knew they go to church. So I asked them to explain that to me. And nobody could. Nobody could give me any ideas what it all means. And so it took me a while to figure this out. I didn't know what I was supposed to do with the purpose. I looked at it from the earthly perspective. I thought, well, I am a woman. Probably the reason I'm having this dream because I'm in between marriages. This is my purpose as a woman. I need to get remarried and, have a family again. So I did. I married this other man. We got a bigger house. Mm-hmm. I got a job that was paying more money. So I kind of, increased in some way. But again, time came a few years later. I'm back into the empty space. And that when it hit me, if that God, or however you want to call it, gave me the purpose and told me to look for it, he is the one that probably knows what it is. And so when I realized that, and something opened, something that got unlocked inside of my heart, I just believed that maybe he's what he is. Maybe there is something besides all this. And the very next morning, I woke up. I just wanted to have this hunger for spiritual stuff, for God. And I think a lot of people on the podcast talking about it. Like when they awaken, they just have this hunger for a greater understanding of what this reality is all about. And so I did the same. I went and got me a Bible because, again, I'm still thinking God, Bible, connecting the two. Mm-hmm. I've never read a Bible in my whole life. So I bought me the Bible and a supplement reading called Bible for Dummies. And I started to figure it all out. And then, synchronicity started to happen. All of a sudden, I'm meeting this family who have adopted children from Russia, and they invited us to church. And the church was right in my neighborhood. and I'm coming to this church and everybody loving on you, and you just like have all this dopamine levels high up because of the happiness that you experience. So I stayed at that church for a few years. It was a small church, so everybody knew everybody. So it felt like a big family. All of a sudden, here I am, immigrant, left all my family behind. I missed that. And that little church almost felt like, oh, here I'm having a family again. But the hunger never ceased. So I just felt like that religion is not giving me what I need. It gives me some direction, but not satisfying to the point where I'm good, kind of like I'm at peace. And so I had to continue my path. I had to continue my path to explore wherever God was leading me. And what I feel is a blessing is I didn't have any preconceived ideas about God. I just went by how it felt. And so I remember one day I was in the Bible study. I signed up for anything I possibly could. I had that much hunger. I'm like, I'm going to do all the Bible studies, all the fellowship groups, all the whatever. And I'm reading this, the Bible study. We had some kind of book there written by a woman, a Christian woman. And as I'm reading her story, I'm reading my own story. I just realized whatever she's writing there, it's all the same. It's like I'm reading my own story. Someone wrote it about me, that I was raised with my biological father left, or my mom and him divorced. I was still just 1 year old. I had a stepfather who was kind of critical of me all the time. Then I had this desire. I think it was because of the abandonment that I felt, that I always wanted to find a man who can hold me and love me. So I almost had this kind of addiction to this physical love, romantic relationships. And nothing was satisfying. And so this woman all of a sudden says, when she found the connection to the divine, to God, it took all that other stuff away. She no longer needed to satisfy her emptiness anywhere else. And when I read this, I started all of a sudden seeing like a life review. It's like someone just turned on a screen in my mind and start playing different parts of my life. And the different parts were the parts where I was very close to either dying or being hurt. And so one part was there when I was like 7 years old. We were on the bicycles with another friend, and I fell in the river when I was washing my bicycle from the deck. And I remember how I was going down, and I'm like looking at the water closing on me, and I'm thinking, this is it. And some miracle brought me back up, and there happened to be people there, and they pulled me right out. And then another instance was shown to me when I was traveling one time to a wedding in Turkey, and we were going through some area that had rebels. They were just kind of trying to make troubles there, and they saw our car had a license plate from another country, and they took us who knows where. Me and another couple of people that were in the car, and they had machine guns, took us away out of the town, some tea fields, and I was like, okay, they're just going to shoot us right there. And that's the first time I was praying. I never even thought I was capable of praying, but here you just pray to some miracle to happen for you to live. And the miracle did happen. We were all, told, okay, we can go free. And there were other instances. And I understood if that divine power that took me out of all these calamities, And I must be worthy
Mm-hmm.
of that love. I must be worthy of all this. And that's when I felt that love for the first time. I felt it's very tangible experience. It's not something you just believe in your head. You feel like you are in a complete state of peace, bliss, and intimate connection to something that is so much bigger than you are, and yet knows you intimately and loves you beyond measure. And that is the emotion that I'm still chasing, because that is what brings me home every time I feel it. So after that experience, I couldn't look at myself the same way anymore. I felt like I had value just by being who I am. I felt everybody else have the same value, because I could connect and see that same love in everybody else. And not just people, anything that had life in them, like, cockroaches. Mm-hmm. I could no longer kill them because they had the same life in them that wasn't me. It was very strange.
It's a cool feeling, isn't it?
It is a cool feeling. But again, how do you connect now with the people who never experienced that? That's the hardest part. That is why we feel lost and lonely when we're going through this experience, because none of my family could relate to that. They thought I'm some crazy, something going on, something like some craziness going on. My second husband, begged me to go back the way I was before. He said, I've never wanted to marry anybody who's religious or spiritual. I don't know who you are anymore. So he started to withdraw him emotionally from the relationship. My daughter, who was a teenager, and it's like, I don't want to know who you are anymore, Mom. And so it's that tug of war. It's like, what you're feeling is real, but yet you don't know how to process it, and you don't know how to use it to connect with others. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, things just never came back in my marriage the way they were. So as soon as my daughter went to college, that second marriage ended up in divorce as well. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on here. Am I just failing all this? Or is there some kind of purpose in all this? But I do remember I remember I was driving in the car when we finalized our divorce, and I was so disappointed in myself mostly that I just couldn't hold it together for some reason. And I just asked, it wasn't even prayer. I just asked, I said, why can't I just have someone who cares about me? Mm-hmm. And there was such a strong emotion and strong request that I think God or universe heard it. And within the 2 weeks from that request, I met a person who became my third partner in life. His name is Mike, and he's the most caring person I've ever met in my entire life. The most sweetest and caring man I've ever met. And this person, we've been together over 10 years now, longer than both marriages. And this person is the face of God in my life because he takes me unconditionally. I've never heard him telling me, you should do this, or you shouldn't do this, or I don't like what you do. Never. It's like he gives me a complete freedom and complete acceptance in exploration of who I am, what this life is all about. And it's and he just my buddy. He always with me, no matter where. We go on vacations together, we do stuff together, we cook together. It's just such a incredible feeling to have a person like this. But when we met, my egoistic old mind kicked in, and everybody else were feeding into that mind because they're saying, he's not your type. He's not your type. No. And I just had to, and I was telling that myself because he was very different than I would normally select. And yet, again, there was this moment, a divine moment in my life that I've come to trust, that I knew he is there for a purpose. That was the first time I saw 1111 on all the electronics in my home. Everywhere I looked, microwave, oven, clock, they all had 1111. And I had that dilemma, like, do I continue that relationship or do I not, find someone else who's a little bit more close to my type? And I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I trusted the divine. But ever since then, I've studied a lot of stuff. I've tried many ways, and again, because I'm trying to learn more about who God is, who's His character. I know He feels like truth when I experience His Spirit inside me. He feels like love. He feels like peace. He feels like unconditional grace. Like he feels like confidence. He feels like this is who I am. It's that incredible, elevating sense of truth and freedom. And so I'm learning how to abide in that spirit of God rather than the spirit of the world that is like in completely opposite. And He's given me all the information that I need. That higher consciousness, higher power, teaching me all about the harmonic resonance, because everything is energy. Everything is happening all at the same time. That's what I'm learning from Him. Everything has different frequencies. We tune in and out by attuning to those frequencies. So it's space and time is just an illusion created by our five senses. But outside of that, everything is happening simultaneously. Yet we tune in and out. It's like radio station, right? You cannot listen to two different radio stations on the same radio device.
Yeah.
You have to go from one or another. That's just impossible. Well, I've learned that reality is the same way. If you tune into love, and I'm talking about unconditional love, selfless love, where you think of others without any self-interest, that kind of love. When you think of cooperation, benevolent cooperation, not cooperation to do something bad or wrong, but a benevolent intention, cooperation, camaraderie, dignity, nobility. If you think about those things and feel them and practice them, you are tuning to the higher realm. And while you attune into that higher realm, and when you abide in that higher frequency, it is impossible by law to collide with another frequency that is on a lower vibration. Just like, it's the law. So if you attune into the higher frequencies, what the Bible calls the kingdom of heaven, you cannot have conflicts because that energy does not exist there. You cannot have disease because that disease is a conflict. Everything up there is oneness. So I've also studied Kabbalah. Kabbalah is incredible knowledge of all that and the original origins of humanity. So there's a lot of wisdom there, which Christianity kind of took a lot of that knowledge. I also practice and learn a lot from from different Eastern practices. Eastern practices are really good to help you understand how the mind and the body work together. Because this is our tool. We experience this world through the body. So if you learn how your energy is working, your energy centers, your chakras, if you learn how the mind creates your emotions, and emotions feed back into the thought process, it's incredible information. But Christianity, and I'm not talking about the religion and institutions, I'm talking about what Jesus was teaching. He's not the knowledge that he brought to humanity and revealed. That is very unique, because what it does, he was revealing to humanity the qualities of our Creator. That quality that I want to abide, that quality that feels like this is who I am, the truth, the freedom, the oneness, the wholeness, and the peace, because you cannot have peace without it. You know, that stuff that we all want, peace in the world or inner peace, it doesn't even come close to the peace of God. His peace is completely beyond understanding, and it's very healing, and it's very, again, truth. So I love to help other people to understand how the reality works, because we're all going to get there eventually. It just takes a lot of suffering, and I hate seeing people suffering, especially suffering over and over and over again, and nobody's there to help them to see things differently. So
life's been kind of crazy lately too. I've just It seems like I'm drinking from a fire hose with all this new information and just the way everything's changing, and it's been a ride. So hearing kind of what you've gone through too, and just everything that you've been through in your life, and especially for the long time, it's I don't know. Sometimes you get lost for words on things, but
that kind of stuff hard to even find words, because it's very, I don't know, it's just a state of being, and sometimes words are just so limited to describe what is it that you're feeling. But it's amazing. Everything is in the right place, and what I've also experienced by doing meditations and learning how to meditate in different ways. I've done Vipassana. I think someone on your podcast done this 10-day Vipassana retreat.
Yeah.
I've done this. I've done Joe Dispenza retreats, which is a 7-day retreat. They all give you, and I think they all helping you to reach that state of oneness. Because once you reach that state, you just know. You don't need to be taught anymore. You just kind of know it inherently. What is truth? We all know it.
With some of the retreats that you've been on, do you feel like each retreat or something different is kind of adding to what you already know, or is it repetitive? Would you give recommendations of doing it with multiple people?
Yeah, I definitely recommend trying different techniques. So there are some retreats that a little bit more focused on positive emotions, and there's nothing wrong with it. But if you don't gain knowledge, why do you even crave for positive emotions? Then you just become attached and to the positive emotions. So you become basically like a dopamine junkie. You're just chasing that feel good emotions. But that's not the purpose. The purpose is to rise above the good and the evil. so that you can look at everything objectively and not create an identity or addiction to any of this. That's where the real freedom is. You know, those people at the retreats who have that experience of freedom, and there are a lot of testimonies about those people who do have that experience where they feel that same love. They describe it exactly the same way. In fact, people who had near-death experiences, they also describe that love in the same way.
Yeah.
And I love watching those videos with near-death experiences because it's like, oh my God, that's exactly what I was experiencing. Mm-hmm. And so once you experience that love, that true connection to the divine, the life mm-hmm. that is in everything, you don't really, I guess, you don't really look at yourself the same way. So even when on the days when you don't feel good or bad, or if you do feel good, you just look at it as an experience, something to learn from, something to be grateful for, mm-hmm. Something to maybe discover through about yourself or about life or about who God is. So it's, it's like your story, it changes. Yeah. You know, it's no longer about you. It becomes something like what role am I playing in the collective whole? Mm-hmm. So
maybe if I can ask you too, kind of as you've gone through a lot of this, and I feel like right now I'm in this like weird transition of kind of floating between a 3D and a 5D, and just like these really good high vibration frequencies and good days, and then I have these really down negative moments where I just feel like the world's still collapsing around me. And that's just kind of been this last week. It's been kind of rough. But have you experienced kind of those ups and downs? Is it?
Yeah, I do. I do experience this all the time. And the key is not to tell yourself it happens because there's something wrong with me, because that's the first thing that your body is or your mind's gonna do. Mm-hmm. Oh, if I feel bad, there must be something wrong with me. There must be something I'm not doing right, or I'm not connecting to my purpose, or I'm not. And it takes you even more down. I'm supposed to do this, but I don't want to because my energy is down. I'm a bad person. All this. So the key is to, if I cannot talk myself out of it, if I, the first thing I do, I go on my meditation cushion and I turn my thought process off. And when I feel I'm free now, sometimes takes a few minutes, sometimes takes a longer. When I'm now free and I stopped that continuous train of thoughts, because it's basically like a momentum. Mm-hmm. It's not going to just abruptly stop. It's energy, it has momentum. So you have to wait. Imagine the toy. There's a toy, and it's I don't know the name of it in America, but it usually has like a horse inside like a glass dome, and you push on the top, and it rotates very fast and looks like the horse jumps all around. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, a little like kaleidoscope. Right. You're the little spin tops, yeah.
Right. So, so once you hit it on so many times, you don't need to hit it anymore. It's keep rotating. And the only way to stop it is to wait. Mm-hmm. So that's how your thought process is working. You wait. Don't add any more push to that. Mm. Don't think about this stuff anymore. Just like wait until, Joe Dispenza meditations are best for that, because he's teaching you how to go into the nothing, which is, great. Like you just like there in outer space, there's nothing there. And then once you're free, now you start connecting to the truth. And I usually ask the divine, hey, I don't think I'm resonating with truth right now, because I know what that feels like. So help me to see what is it that I'm seeing wrong. I want to see myself and life from your perspective. And then I'm open to the downloads. And I usually get really good ideas. And it comes back, it pulls me right back from where I felt. It pulls me right back into a state of wholeness, oneness, connection, and love and compassion. And all of a sudden I want to just go out there and connect with everybody again and help people and be myself. But it happens all the time. So you're not alone.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, it's definitely been a little different for me lately, where I'll sometimes wake up. I do know, like at night, go to sleep, my body or my consciousness leaves, astral project, kind of feel like I'm very separate from my body. And I've had these moments last couple days where it just seems like coming back into physical reality, becoming grounded again. It's just creating a lot of anxiety, and I'm spending mornings trying to just get reconnected and just recentered. And it's been a rough couple days lately. I'm just trying to figure out if I'm doing something wrong, if I'm feeling like I'm missing something, or if it's just kind of an energy thing right now. But yeah.
Yes, there's definitely energy out there in the world, but the goal is not to, and human beings, what I've learned from ancient Egyptian tradition, we are an open energy system, meaning we can tune in to stuff at will. That's what the free will is letting us do. We can tune in. So if I tuning into a negative reality, that's where I'm putting myself into. So it's gonna affect me. If I'm focusing on what is good, which is what the Bible says, like if you understand what the Bible is teaching in a deeper level, that information is all there. If you focus on what is good, what is noble, what is lovely, what is, pleasing, if you focus on those things and not just focus, but do it yourself. Do it yourself. Allow yourself to seek those experiences. You will tune into a completely different reality. And as I said earlier, the two realities never clash. They share the same space and time, but they never clash within that space and time.
Wow. Yeah, a lot to learn. That's for sure.
Yeah. So one thing that I thought maybe we can talk later about, the possibility how we can maybe have a little in-person meetings where people can join and ask questions, and we can all collaborate and share this experience and say, hey, something like this happened to me, or what does it mean? And someone says, this is what I've learned. That would be kind of cool to do.
Yeah. And I wonder if doing something kind of more virtual for a little bit and building that up is maybe a good idea. And if we find some sort of like a group meeting type space and use that, but I don't know if that or having an in-person kind of retreat would be very fun too. Just kind of finding the right location and something central to a lot of people and making it most effective. And
you've had that idea for a while. I love it.
Yeah, and that's been kind of on my mind, is like, right, my soul feels like it wants to go to Hawaii, and I love that space, but then
let me give you a little bit insight, because I have very similar place in my mind that I'm resonating, like you resonated with Hawaii. For me, it's Southern California. This was the first place that I stood my foot on when I got off the boat, so to speak. And it represents, there's a particular energy in that experience. The energy is, here I am in a new land, the land of opportunities. I have unlimited, ways that I can express myself. Here I am in this world of abundance. Okay, so that is the energy that I associate when I think of Southern California. And for a long time I was disappointed, like this is where I wanted to live, because this is the place that I love. And I thought the whole America is like this. I was very disappointed that the East Coast is very different. But I now trust that divine never puts you in the wrong place. Mm-hmm. So there's a reason why I'm here. Maybe I'm anchoring different energy into this part of the world. I don't know. I hope so. Mm-hmm. But because this part of the world has been suffering for a very long time. You know, if you go to the American history, there's a lot of bad stuff happen in this area specifically versus the western part of the country. Mm-hmm. And but I do remember the revelation. It was revealed to me why California, because you know, one time I was feeling so bad, kind of like you. I had really, you know, down kind of time for some reason. I don't know exactly what happened, but I just felt really bad about myself and no energy, and just and all of a sudden I was driving to work. I see a car in front of me with California license plate, and that's when I got that wisdom was downloaded into me, that what I'm seeking for is not a physical location, it's a spiritual location. California represents a spiritual location of a higher reality, the kingdom of heaven, where everything in abundance, everything is you know, unconditional love. Everybody's cooperating with one another. Everyone's supporting one another. There's, you know, unlimited opportunities, creativity. That is where I want to be in my soul. That is where we all want to be in our souls. And particular experience we had, you know, in the past associated, it kind of gave us a little taste of that freedom. So for you, that happened to be in Maui, you said, right?
Yeah, Maui's been...
And there, right. So you think if you go there, that's how you're going to feel. But you can create that reality anywhere you are by harmonizing your intentions, your attitudes, your thoughts, your behavior, your emotions to that reality. And then you'll be there. You don't need to go anywhere to experience it.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard because like my brain goes all over the place with all sorts of different things I want to do and understand and know, and then all of a sudden a different idea comes in, and then I'm kind of like, am I being redirected, or am I not gaining focus on one side? And I feel like I flip-flop back and forth so much lately.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay, in the right direction.
Yeah. You are actually doing everything you wanted to do. You know, if you go back to your first video, you said, I want to have an effect on people's lives.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I'm affecting them in a positive way, right? Mm-hmm. And you're doing exactly that. You created the community. You given a space, unconditional space, to every single person. There's like over 40 of us, right? Yeah, I can't remember what was the last number of the episode. And I've listened how you opening yourself up for them. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. You have this ability to offer that space to people of all different walks, all different stories, and they all feel heard and seen in those conversations. That is your talent. That is God-given talent, and you're already doing it.
Yeah. No, that it is. It's kind of just I get torn sometimes between the direction of my life, what I want to do in just living Cody's life, and you know, kind of walking away from a job and getting to the point of creating a business or an income and kind of doing that for me, but then also having this idea of creating this community and being a part of that and making sure that I'm just kind of doing everything that works for me, but it also works for everybody. And it's
Yeah.
weird. Some days it feels separate, like I'm doing one thing for myself and other things for other
Yeah.
people. And then sometimes I lose focus on one or the other, and it just kind of feels like I get lost on what I'm supposed to be doing. And so
Right.
that's what I say
Right.
when
Well,
yep.
you are the people too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're doing something for yourself, you are part of the community.
Yep.
But I can understand that is very challenging, because you are under pressure. You are the primary, provider in the family. So it's a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And what I recommend, look for helpers. Don't feel like you have to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I wanted to try to connect people a little bit more on a personal level, meaning, not just Facebook when someone reads someone's comment, or in YouTube when we're reading each other's comments, but where we can interact, even if it's a virtual community, because now everybody have their own talents. Now, like someone may be good at that, another person good at that, and we can all jump together and do things together. Someone may handle a podcast or calendar of a podcast.
Yeah.
Another person can handle something else like the virtual meetings. Another person can maybe offer something else of what they good at.
Mm-hmm. See, and that's what's been weird, and at least I guess maybe the hard part for me to kind of let things go or to allow for help is I've always been somebody that does things myself. I've always kind of just had that mindset that if I want it done one way, I've got to do it myself. And I know there's a lot of really good people out there that can do things just as well.
I'm the same way. I'm absolutely the same way. I have to have the control. Well, that is the lower vibration mindset.
Yeah.
Because in the high vibration, everything interconnected and everything helping one another. Mm-hmm. So that's what life is all about. I have a little garden, and when I see bees pollinating my cucumber plants, I'm in heaven because they're doing a job that I don't have to go there with a Q-tip.
Yeah. Yep. So. No, because that's I think what's happening. We need to kind of build that community to where everybody can help each other, and each person's strengths become something that's easy to do, and we don't have to sit and kind of struggle to get by. So.
Yeah.
No, I definitely like that. So. Well, yeah. Is there any other information you'd like to share before we kind of end our recording and end this episode before we kind of talk aside, or?
No. Just want to encourage everyone who's on the path of awakening, seek the peace and that love, unconditional love above all else. Because when we are able to connect to that, everything else just falls into places. Mm-hmm.
No, and that's it. It's sometimes just that divine timing, making sure everything happens the way it's supposed to. And I think that's my big lesson right now is patience, trying to remember it doesn't all have to happen at once. I'm okay to let things slowly progress. And that's definitely my current struggle is just wanting everything right now. And it's being shown very quickly that it doesn't happen that way.
Yeah. Well, you have a lot of people you've met through podcast and in person. You have our contacts. So reach out to us and say, hey, I have this idea. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's have a Zoom meeting or whatever, the software, and see where we can take it further. Because if the momentum is gone and then you're going to become at some point weary and tired and burn out doing all by yourself, it will die. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I don't want it. I think we live in a time frame where a lot of people having this readiness to step into the unknown, readiness to look into, what else is there, kind of start asking those kind of questions, deeper questions. Who am I? What am I here for? And then, it takes them to an awakening process. And I think we need to stay connected, because we are part of that energy gaining momentum. Like the more it's again, it's the same, it's the same principle, same laws that everything abide. If you connect two energies that are in resonance with one another, the amplitude will be much bigger, the strength will be much bigger. So that's what happens when we all start connecting. It becomes bigger. It's like a bigger wave. And now more people awaken and more people awaken.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it is. When one light bulb turns on, it illuminates the rest.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, all right.
Well, I truly appreciate your time again, and love hearing the expanded view of your story and kind of where you've come from, and again, the support and the time that you spent just being a part of this community is absolutely amazing. So, thank you.
Thank you.
But,
I'm glad being part of it.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely been a journey, so it's good to have the right people along with us. So.
Yeah, we may start it as strangers. We're no longer strangers.
Not at all.
Maybe at some point we rename our community.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Okay. Well,
all right.
You have a great night.
Yes, you too.
Okay.
I'll speak to you later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Well, thank you for joining us again on this episode with part 2 with Elena, and just hearing a little bit more of her story and kind of where she came from and what brought her through her awakening. And again, thank you for just sharing space with us and supporting us in this podcast and the community that we're building. And just for reference, we do have the support group on Facebook. The Awakened Stranger is how you can find it there on Facebook. And then if you'd like to share your experience with us and share your time or share a space here on the podcast, we do have links to the Google Calendar that's on my TikTok page. So at Cody Rampton on TikTok or at The Awakened Stranger on Instagram. There's links to the Google Calendar where you can select a time slot for you that works, and let's have a call. And I'd love to share your experience and a great conversation. So find yourself there if you'd like to communicate and chat with me, and I would love to hear your story. So hope you guys have a great day. Thanks again for the support, and I will talk to you soon. Love you all.